Don't toss those empty wine bottles just yet, because we're about to turn them into something stunning for your next party. Start by removing the labels. For this project, we're cutting glass, but don't worry, it's way easier than it sounds. You'll need one of these glass bottle cutter kits, and then decide where you want the cut to be on your bottle. For our first idea today, we're cutting just a few inches off the bottom of the bottle. Adjust your glass cutter so the blade sits exactly where you want it to score the line, and then slowly and steadily rotate the bottle against the blade. Once you're done scoring, slide the silicone bands that come with your kit onto the bottle, one above and one below your score line. Now we'll alternate hot and cold water to get a clean break in our glass. Pour hot water over your score line all the way around for about 20 seconds, and then alternate to cold water. Go back and forth a few times until your bottle separates along the line. This is oddly satisfying once it happens. For our second wine bottle idea today, we're going to cut the opposite end of our wine bottle, just a couple inches above the neck of the bottle. Same process as before for cutting it. You'll mark the line, score it all the way around your bottle, then alternate hot and cold water until the top separates. These little pieces make the perfect little glass domes. Place them over a tea light candle on your tablescape and you get this soft, glowing ambience that feels cozy and elegant, perfect for dinner parties, weddings, or even outdoor entertaining. Grab a wooden block and then drill a hole that's just big enough for the neck of your wine bottle to fit snugly inside. Add a bit of hot glue to secure your bottle in place. Then drop a taper candle inside and look at that. Gorgeous tablescape decor that looks high-end but started with a simple bottle that you almost tossed. Whether you go with the glowing domes or taper candles, this is a project that's simple, budget-friendly, and turns your trash into a stunning addition to the tablescape at your next dinner party.
First thing we need to do is prepare our wine bottle by removing the label. We're going to grab some boiling water and pour that inside the bottle, and that's going to kind of loosen the label from the inside out. And then you're going to be able to easily pull that off, and if there's any residue like the sticky stuff, you can put some soap and a little sponge and you can get that off really easily. Then we have our clean bottle, and this one's so pretty because it's kind of a beach glass look. And we are going to take a piece of cardboard and we're going to cut that and roll it up and put that inside the top opening, almost like a note that you're putting in the bottle, except you're not actually putting a note. And then we're going to take some tape, some packing tape, which is important, and we're going to wrap that around there and just keep doing that until you cover it. And then make sure to take one piece of tape or two and close that opening so nothing can seep in there. Then you're going to take a piece of cardboard and we're going to put that lined up right at the edge, right at the top where the opening of the bottle is, so it's kind of flush. They're going to be at an even point because we're going to make a vase out of this and we're going to pour some cement in there, and that's going to be the opening so that we can put some flowers inside when we're done. So we're going to tape that shut and we're going to cover the entire bottle. And make sure to cover everything with packing tape where the cardboard is. And now we have an opening that we're going to put cement in there. And you can get cement where you can mix it yourself, but I like to use the pre-mixed cement. It just makes it a lot easier and not as messy. So we're going to take a little spackling knife and we're going to just start caking it in there. And be sure to put on some plastic gloves because cement will dry out your hands. It has like a drying agent. Just keep putting it inside until we get it all the way to the top. And in between filling it up, you're going to want to take it and kind of pound it on a surface, on the ground or on top of your table, and that's just going to get the cement to kind of slide down and be more compact. So it's going to have less air bubbles when you're done. And then after you've gone all the way around, you're going to smooth out the top and then let it dry. And mine took about 48 hours to dry. It took longer than I thought. Now we're going to remove the cardboard and just pull that off. If you have any cardboard that's left on top of the cement, that's not a problem because you're going to take sandpaper anyways and smooth it out. And actually something interesting happened with mine. Since I used a USPS envelope, it left some of the blue stripes that were on the envelope, which I actually liked. I think it added some cool detail. So I'm going to take some sandpaper and I'm going to sand it a little and just make sure it's smooth all the way around. But I think it already looks super cool. It's very retro and modern, and I'm loving the way this turned out. After you're done sanding, you're just going to grab a cloth and just wipe the glass so it's nice and clean. And then you're ready to put some flowers inside your bud vase. You can put a rose, or like I put some eucalyptus, which I think looks really cool, and it has a very cool beach vibe, since the bottle that I chose already had kind of a green glass. And it's so modern, and it really looks like an art piece. It looks like an expensive piece you bought from like an art gallery or a high-end store like Serena and Lily or CB2.
First thing I'm going to do is, this is a chip brush. This is a very cheap bristle brush, and this is what I think you need to use. But I don't want it to have these long bristles on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut the end off the bristles so that we have a nice kind of stubby, bristly brush that we can create some texture with. So the first thing I have done is given my glass one coat of white paint. But before I started painting, I cleaned it first with some rubbing alcohol. You can use any paint. I have used white craft paint. It's covered perfectly well. You can use artist's acrylic paint, chalk paint. You can even use wall paint. So my coat of white paint is now dry, and I'm now moving on to the next step. Now I am going to lay down first of all some bronze metallic paint. If you don't want to do that, you can go straight to the copper paint, but I want to have a little bit of variation in the colour, but it's totally up to you. So once my coat of bronze paint was dry, I have now gone in with some copper paint. And I'm using just some of the cheapest copper paint in my local artist store. And I am using my brush and just dabbing, brushing, a little bit randomly, try to cover up any white spots that you might have. And that is now how it is looking. My copper layer is dry now. And I have also, using a small paintbrush, I have painted a little way down inside with the copper paint so that it looks like it's solid copper, so you can't see what's going on inside. Then I've taken some hairspray. This is going to help us with the next layer. And I've sprayed all over it. Any hairspray will do, and I'm leaving that to dry. Okay, so the hairspray is dry. And on this palette, I have some bright aqua green. You could use turquoise if you want, and some of this white craft paint. And I've put them both out, but I'm not going to blend them. I'm just kind of smushing them together. So some parts are green and some parts are white. And then I'm going to paint it all over the bottom half of the glass, adding in a bit more white. So the final part of this is I have some water here and my small paintbrush, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrub on the green, and what happens is where the hairspray was, it doesn't allow the paint to adhere properly, and it makes it much more natural looking, as though the copper has just appeared in certain places rather than trying to paint it on. So you scrub a little bit with the brush and then tap it off, and it gives it a really interesting effect. And there you can see the copper starts to shine through. I think it's a really interesting technique. So I'm going to carry on all the way around there, and then I'll show you the finished project. And here is my finished faux copper patina vase. Now, I don't intend to put water in my vase. I'm only going to use it for dried flowers. If you want to put water in it, I would suggest that you seal this first, because it isn't waterproof. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and I have inspired you to have a go. I'm Julie McDowell. I'll see you next time.